Hey friends, it's me and I'm back with another video from inside the studio, and today's video is studio build number 11 and it follows the couple of songs that I put up in the last couple of days that we did with the band in here, and I thought this video you'd quite like to see a bit of a studio tour to see what we did and how we did it and how the new studio's working out. It kind of rounds off the studio build series really nicely, so that's what's coming up today. Before we go off into the studio, I just want to make a couple of little observations and points. On the 6th of October this year, it's the very first annual World Guitar Day, and I've decided to do a live show on that day. So this is the nice early notice and warning you've got of the live show on Friday the 6th of October. I'll announce a bit more about the time. It's probably going to be 9 PM British time, and I really want to know what you would like to see as part of World Guitar Day, what you would like me to celebrate. Also, I would like to ask you to give your nominations in the comments down below for the greatest ever guitar riff. Now, obviously, there's loads and loads of lists and top 10s of guitar players, but I don't remember seeing that many for guitar riffs. So if you think that Whole Lot of Love, Jimmy Page's riff in that, is the best ever guitar riff, say so in the comments down below, and I'll collate the most popular that get either voted up with likes or that get repeated multiple times, and I'll put that in and we'll have the results on World Guitar Day on the 6th of October. So let me know what you think. Always use the hashtag WGD17 and CGS, and hopefully we'll have a nice result to show you on World Guitar Day. We'll see. So yeah, in the last couple of days I did put up a couple of videos of the band playing live out here. What we needed to do was create a live demo for venues, and so that we can get out and start promoting ourselves for gigs. So we wanted to make a recording that was as live as possible, and we've used the new studio to do that. I'm going to go on and show you the new studio in just a moment, but before I do, I just want also to mention there was an article in the Wall Street Journal some time ago suggesting that guitar is on its way out. And I've seen lots of other guitar channels putting up comments about this, and I just wanted to mention the fact that Eric Clapton had been sort of misquoted on saying, that he thinks it might be on the way out. But the whole thing started with Music Trades magazine reporting 19% drops in sales for Fender and 19.1 for Gibson, and whacking great losses. I think it's 2.1 billion or something, or 1.6 billion for Guitar Center being in debt. And a lot of people are putting that down to two things. Number one is that there's a lot more studio musicians like myself who perhaps don't want to buy or don't need to buy road-ready, durable instruments like the Fenders and Gibsons, and are much happier with just unbranded guitars. I don't feel that way, incidentally, but some may. And also suggesting that some of the higher-end players that would have bought expensive gear are now going to boutique custom luthiers to have their bespoke instruments made. But nowhere in any of the articles has anybody mentioned the Chinese market. And of course, that being fairly close to home for me, I think that's had an impact on guitar sales, and we've certainly seen an explosion, literally an explosion, over the past 3 to 4 years in imports of Chinese guitars. And certainly all the time I've been running my channel, it seems that there's more and more people buying them. And I sincerely hope that the two things aren't correlated, and I'm pretty sure they're not. but there are lots of people buying Chinese instruments. So I do feel that the Chinese, and particularly the fake trade, are undercutting the profit margins of the likes of Fender and Gibson, although there is a lot to say that Gibson are benefiting from aftermarket product sales, bridges, pickups, tuners, tail ends, stop ends, electronics, you name it. I'm cynical, but I'm not that cynical. I think that they wouldn't be silly enough to undermine their own brand by supporting or being involved in the fake trade in China, but maybe you think they are. So again, tell me down below in the comments. Anyway, that's enough waffle from me. I really hope that you enjoy this little tour of the studio and how me and my band managed to do the demos that were up. And incidentally, I've got a new little rule for covers on my channel. I will put them up when we do them and they might be of interest to you, but I don't want to keep them on my channel, so I've decided that I'm going to leave them up only for the first 700 early birds among you. So 700 views and they come back down again. And actually the ones I put up this week, I had some really great feedback on and I really appreciate it. And even though they were just rough live demos, and you can probably tell I'm improvising the heck out of the solos, whereas they need devising for the final recording, it was just really a proof of concept that it worked out here, and we were delighted that it did. Anyway, again, on with the studio tour. Okay, first things first, I'll show you around the studio and show you what we've got set up. The great thing is, as I mentioned previously, is that pretty much everything here is on wheels and can be moved around. So I'm just going to give you a little show and I'll explain through what we did the other evening to achieve the recording that we did, and hopefully you'll enjoy the little tour. So first of all, we bought a nice sofa, which you've already seen, and it was over there in the corner, just over by where the lighting is now, the video light, and we moved it over here to create a nice little seating area for us to chill out in between takes. All this is going to be tidied up and into racking or movable cupboards that I want to put on wheels. There's the couple of the Chinese guitars you might recognise, and Bluey sat in the corner over there, poor thing, with a broken A string. Some of the studio equipment that I've got, you've seen the amps before. There's the Rode that I did the demonstration on. There's the pod, a couple of guitar cases, a couple of mic cases, my Canon 5D, which went up on this tripod here to do some of the recording with. I've got my Korg Triton LE keyboard out here, and my trusty PC setup, which I made some supports on the bottom of this roll-along desk, and we're just connected into the internet. This is all a bit of a mess behind here, so I've tried to cover it up as best I can, but I'm going to do a better job of that. And then we come round to the video area and where we had the band set up. Now, I managed to do the whole thing with just one light box, which I only ever really use one light box because it gives a fantastic light when it's reflected off the ceiling, and in combination with the ceiling lights, it lights it up quite nicely. A couple of cameras that we put on it. I've got a Canon, I think that's an HF10, or let's have a look, does it say on it? Yeah, Canon HF10. And of course we used the 5D on the wheeled tripod. Admittedly, this roll-along desk wasn't as far out the other day because we actually did the original recording on the Zoom R16, but because we have been playing about with stuff and wanted to add a keyboard, the R16's only got 8 inputs, whereas I have a Behringer X32, which I think I've shown you before, that will give you up to 32 inputs, as using this as a digital audio interface and workstation. And the great thing is I've worked out how to set it up so that I can use the automation as well. And these give us the channels coming back. Obviously we've got the 4 vocal channels coming in now, guitar, bass, pair of drums and a pair of keys in stereo, and they're selected in stereo so they move together, which is all good fun. And I'm just using Cubase LE at the moment. So we have that set up on one of the monitors when we're recording, and obviously we've got all of the recording data there as well to make sure that we've got plenty of volume coming in. And also we put up on the second screen, we put up the lyrics so that we can see them without having to have our music stands with the words in front of them. And as well as the HF10 and the 5D, it was really, really simple. I had the phone that I'm recording on now sat in this little contraption that I built on the corner here, and that was a camera angle, and also my old phone just down here on, again, a little plastic mount that I created to give it a bit of tilt. And so it just goes to show that you can create quite a nice sounding video with pretty limited kit. There's nothing overly expensive in here. It's all good fun. My vocal mic, the SM58 for the lead vocals, the bass player's own mic. Believe it or not, that's my GT100 in its carry case there. And then our drummer's drum kit all set up on the carpet. And as you probably can tell by having this set up in the middle of the room, excuse the trailing leads and everything at the moment, it's quite messy, and that's one of the downsides of having a studio that you can be fairly flexible over, is that everything being on wheels, including the effects rack. I'll show you my effects rack. It's not full up yet, but I've got a few bits and pieces you might be interested in. First of all, I've got the Marshall JMP1. I've had that for years, a trusty little guitar preamp which I love. Then a cheapy Behringer feedback destroyer, which mainly I use on live work, particularly with radio mics. And TC Electronics M350, which you know I got from China, and it was no cheaper than getting it in the UK. And then the DBX 286S that I am promising to do you a review on shortly, because it is a great processor and particularly vocal mic preamp, and it's got preamp on it, it's got compressor, it's got de-esser, it's got enhancer, it's got an expander gate, and the thing just sounds great. And I will be doing a video on that pretty soon. I'll give you a demo in a moment of the song as we were mixing. And lastly, quite a little invention that I came up with here, which is that I've played the Dark Terror through the Harley Benton 2x12 cab, but what I did was I put the flight case for the mixer in front of the cab. I run it in stereo and 16 amps and just took one speaker, and I've mic'd that with the Rode M3. And I don't know if you can see in there, but I've got a nice piece of acoustic foam that the mic head is just sitting through. So this all acted as a really good makeshift baffle, so that I could still use my guitar amp. And of course there's Pinky, all ready to go, because we got to finish recording on Tuesday. But the great thing about using this as a baffle was that I could have the guitar amp live and mic'd, but it didn't bleed into the microphones, the vocal microphones, even the drum microphone, which was right next to it. In fact, you've got more of the clicks of the electronic kit going into that vocal microphone than you did my guitars. So it was a pretty low volume, and I was quite pleased with the tone, and I think most of you commented. Thank you very much if you've put kind comments on the video. I should add, as an addendum, that everything's running from one of the outputs on the X32 into my Panasonic amp here, and then we monitored everything live, which is why you can see that we don't have any headphones on, through the two Technics studio monitor speakers that I've got just sitting under the monitors there. And it was at a volume where you could hear the guitar, bass and drums under the vocal, but you could mainly hear the live ambient vocal in the room rather than the vocal coming out of the speakers, which works quite well because it gives you a good, with a slight reverb and slapback that's in here, it gives you a nice vocal sound to tune to. So that's what we used for monitoring. That's why you don't see us wearing any headphones in the video. There's my trusty Sennheiser MKH416. Anybody that gets chance to use these, I use it pretty much exclusively on vocals. The only thing that gets close to it that I've got is the Rode NT1, but at about a third of the price, that's definitely the microphone. This one, sorry, the NT1 being a third of the price of the Sennheiser. Broadcast standard, I think I've shown you that before in many videos. There you go. So, just a little addendum for you. Hokey cokey. I won't do a demonstration of the R16, but this does exactly the same job. There's a USB port there that can plug into the USB on the computer, and then this can be created or used as I should say, as an interface and controller for Cubase. And then I've just replugged it to come through this, and this I love because you've got your mutes and solos on channels there, and then you've got your stop, play, rewind and record all on the bottom of these, and then their individual mixing for vocal, because we all do vocals, guitar, bass, and then stereo pair of drums. And I'll give you a little demo. So let's show you the isolation first of all. So obviously the guitar's on its own at the moment, but then we got drums. Hopefully you can hear that. I'll turn it up just a touch on the master. And then we've got the bass, which was DI'd from the back of the bass amp, so that's nice and isolated. And then you'll be surprised at how isolated the vocals are. Let's see if I can show you the drummers, which with the clicking, but you can't even hear that at the moment, which is great.
On this blackest night,
you can just about hear the guitar in the background if you listen really carefully.
I am the ghost of the man who stands before.
But pretty good separation, really. And listening to just my vocal mic, you can hear there's a little bit of gate on it that I've added on the post, so obviously that helps with isolation. But as you can see, the isolation works really well out here, and as a silent studio, it's exactly what I was after, and really pleased with this setup, particularly pleased now that I can get up to 32 channels input into this digital audio interface on the X32. It's got Midas preamps and they sound absolutely awesome. And so I've also got a breakout box, a stage box S16 to go with this, so I can put 16 channels of input and 8 channels of output right the way down in the recording area, and I could put the desk and everything back up at the end there. There were some After Effects, if you like, added on some of the vocals. Let's have a quick look at the main vocal. I won't go into the detail of the EQ curve. These were pretty random, they just sounded good in the mix, but I've got dynamics on there, gated. The reverb I've used is a overloud reverb, and just got a classic hall on the vocals. So The whole thing works really, really well, and I've been really delighted with the way that this studio's working out and set up at the moment. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. We are going to be doing some more recordings on Tuesday. They are just rough demos at the moment, but you've all been incredibly kind about it. Obviously, listening back to them, you can tell that my solos are improvised rather than devised, which they will be on the final recordings. But we will no doubt put up a couple more numbers for you to listen to in due course, and hopefully you're enjoying those. Really, really impressed with all the positive feedback and all the real kind support. And I hope that you're enjoying this as much as I am. It's so good to be out here finally in the studio and to give you the kind of resolution to the studio build series, which I think this has pretty much given us. But let me know what you think in the comments down below, folks. I'll be back with a review of the DBX units soon. I'll also be back with some updates on the CGS Guitar Challenge, and I've now had 3 submissions. Thank you guys, all of you who've submitted to that. And if you want to do that, I'm going to keep that running for another week or so, and then I'm going to edit the video together and show you what everybody's submitted. So that's a chance to get involved still. Go and have a look back at that video on the, let me think what the video was. I think it was the eBay ripoff where the CGS Guitar Challenge was, but I could be wrong. Go and have a look there, and I will be back really, really soon. I really hope you've enjoyed this, folks, and you take good care.